I'll often come across videos online that are uncolored. And it's frustrating because coloring is, not color grading, like, someone who does it for a living, obviously there are a lot of skills involved there that make it very, very difficult. But I'm talking about just like basic color correction, doing a little grade, doing something to it. I find stuff that's like, looks like it's straight off the camera, or maybe they tried to grade it and just did like nothing to it. I don't know. I see a lot of footage from, maybe amateur or maybe like new young professionals. I don't know. But coloring is so important because coloring is what changes like mediocre footage. Even when it's shot, even if the subject matter is incredible, you still have to color it. And that applies to video as well as photos. Photos, you can't just take a photo and send it. Well, I guess you could. You could just upload it, I guess. But it's not going to look its best. It's going to look a lot better if you run it through a color grading process. The more work you do, the better you can make it look. And you can save really, really ugly looking stuff if you put that time in. And some footage, if you're dealing with a poor codec that doesn't quite have the color information that you need, something out of like a DSLR or mirrorless camera, it might be a little bit trickier, but you still have to do something. And it really frustrates me when I see people post uncolored or barely colored footage, or just poorly colored. I guess that's the other thing too, is that people need to figure out or get better at, there is color science and color theory. And so you can learn these things. It's not just all intuition. It's not just someone can do it and someone can't. You can learn it like any other skill. So if you're not coloring your footage, which hopefully you probably are, but maybe you're not. If you're not, look into it, figure it out. Because, if you're going to take the time to edit your footage, then just take that extra time to color it. And I don't know if maybe people get lazy, they don't have the time, they feel it doesn't matter. But it definitely matters, especially if you're trying to match cameras or you're just trying to pack the most punch into an image as possible. It's a visual medium. And you would hope, like if you're trying to show off great looking footage or even like mediocre looking footage, the better color it has, the better it's going to look. And people aren't going to be distracted by like, why is that wall green or why is their face blue? Like there's just some weird stuff I see out there. And again, I don't know if it's just laziness or what it is, but I'd be curious, like, I hope that you color your footage. Let me know if you do or don't and why you do or don't. I've heard other people say, just get it right in camera. Okay, maybe there's something for that. I usually try and get it close in camera. I try and get it in the realm of what I'm doing, but I still always color it because it's never going to be exactly the way I want. The camera settings are one thing. I can kind of dial it in, get it roughly close, make sure my white balance is accurate, make sure I've got my black point where I want it, my exposure's right, and that I'm using some kind of, maybe it's a log curve if I'm, recording externally, or, something a little bit more contrasty if I'm recording internally on the camera. But either way, I still am going to take that extra time in post-production because you have to. It's as simple as that. In my mind, you have to take that step because otherwise it's not going to look as good and someone else's stuff is going to look so much better. So please, if you are showing off footage and you're finalizing something, please absolutely take the time, color it, have someone else look at it, maybe get some tips from somebody else, look up tutorials online. There's not a lot out there in terms of coloring, but there is some stuff that you can look at and kind of get headed in the right direction. And a lot of it is experimentation, seeing what works best for you. Me personally, I use SpeedGrade. I know there's some people who use After Effects for coloring. I don't think that's the most intuitive. Some people just stick right in Premiere. I think that's a little limiting. If you're using something outside the Adobe suite, maybe it's Final Cut or Vegas or something like that. I'm not familiar with the tools inside those programs in terms of coloring, but they're probably okay. But again, something external like DaVinci Resolve is a fantastic program. I just don't like the fact that I have to go separate from my Premiere SpeedGrade workflow. Like seriously, if you haven't tried the Premiere SpeedGrade workflow, it is phenomenal. SpeedGrade is great in terms of doing some more advanced coloring techniques, and it works really well with Premiere, and you can just send your project back and forth just like you do with Premiere and After Effects, and it's just seamless. There's no transcoding or exporting or making sure it's in the right file format. Whatever Premiere can handle, SpeedGrade can handle, and it works really, really well. I really want Adobe to keep improving SpeedGrade because there are some other features I'd like to see, but for the most part, it does exactly what I need. It does fast coloring better than Premiere. So check that out. Highly recommend it. And even if you don't want to go that extra step and go into SpeedGrade and you just want to start somewhere small, like you still have to do it. You just have to do it.